Oh no, poor whites get treated badly by a bunch of cops. So we were, old gringo, listen, as far as how the police operate, okay, there's a racial bias, but there is absolutely an economic bias, 100%, right?
A bunch of times.
So we live in Maine, and the inner city in Maine is actually mostly populated by down-and-out white people. And there were two incidents. One incident was there was this white guy, and we had just come out of church, and he was drinking in public, was it? Well, that's illegal in Maine. And the cop, in front of everybody, takes the beer and pours it over this guy's head. Okay? So people run up to me, they're like, Vin, this cop just did this, blah, blah, blah. So I run over there, and there's a guy, and I'm like, yo, you good, blah, blah, blah. This is a white dude. And he's like, he was happy. You remember, what did he say?
Because the cop didn't arrest him.
He was just happy not to get arrested. He didn't care. So I am under no, there's another situation. This one was infuriating. I almost got legal with this, where it was this, again, down and out girl. She's single mom, 2 kids, and she was so excited because she just got a job at Dunkin' Donuts. The girl across the street from her was in crisis and made up all these crazy conspiracy theories. I mean, the girl was legitimately in crisis. Made up all these conspiracies. The cop shows up at Sabrina's workplace the first day of her job.
Yeah.
Yelled at her in front of everybody and said, if you don't return those items, there were no items, by, 5 o'clock, I'm going to come to your house and arrest you. Said that right in front of everybody. The white girl he did this to. So I went to the precinct, and I said, bullshit. I said, I'm going to talk to this dude, like, right now. People used to come to me because they know I handle police. I said, yo, so the guy takes me into the back away from you guys. You remember that?
Oh, I do.
And I'm sitting there, and he goes, yeah, he basically said that's like a little game that we play, blah, 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 because, you can't really know if somebody's innocent or not. I said, I don't give a fuck what game it was. That's completely illegal. You know it's illegal.
Yeah.
What is the, I was like, what, and he didn't want to turn over his friend and all the rest of it, and the lawyer just basically let it go, she's good now. So Sabrina was good after that, but I'm under no illusions that the cops treat poor white people well, because we're literally in the front,
other friend too.
Literally in the front line, and they do not treat them well at all.
They had some assumption that he had some drugs on him. He actually didn't, but they brought him down an alley, and they roughed him up and beat him up to try to get information from him, like, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they beat the hell out of that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That made me so sick. I'm like, what? I had never heard of something like that before until that point. And when I heard that, I just instantly felt like throwing up, because the idea that somebody has this position of authority and they're going to use that against people and pin them down an alley and beat them up in like a gang, and he was like a kid.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. By the way, little bro, CEB, you don't have to super chat me, bro. I'll look for your stuff and I'll post it. I don't want you going broke. But I mean, if you want a super chat, go for it. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I'll look for your things. But he says he's from the hood in Lawrence, Massachusetts, and cops don't arrest whites by practice. On God, it's an unwritten policy. That is also true. That does happen in certain hoods. In our particular hood, the poor whites get stoled on by the cops almost every day. In other hoods, it's not like that.
Unbelievable.
This is frustrating. Yes, it's white privilege, but the white woman, Abigail, whatever, who is as guilty as sin, has a mother who is a police lieutenant.
She got in the hallway.
Oh, well, she didn't have to say it. I'm sure they knew. They know her. I'm sure they knew her.
Oh, you're right.
I'm sure they knew her. Yeah, I'm sure.
Wow.
Yeah, right outside of Boston is where CB Applejack is from. Shout out to CB. Yo, CB, if you have a channel or anything you want me to promote, big bro, hit me up. VinceStory@gmail.com. I'll support you any way I can, big homie. Yeah, man. So look, is it true that if you're a low class, when I say low class, I'm not talking about your character. I'm talking about your standing in a capitalist superstructure.
Yeah.
If you're a low-class white person, your chances of being treated this way by police are very, very small, if the way they treated that white lady. Okay? Here's the difference, though. This is what privilege means. You could be a lawyer. You could be a black lawyer. So someone who's read as a high-class person in the superstructure and get treated like absolute shit by the cops. That's the difference. That is the difference. And that's what we've been saying from the beginning. And look, you don't have to buy a Black Lives Matter shirt or whatever it is tomorrow, but when we say there's such a thing as white privilege, and when we say that the civil rights movement isn't over, this is what we're talking about. This black woman has to run, and I'm certain that she was socialized not to run, but she had to run from this white lady in order for her not to leave that scene in handcuffs. And then, when she had this woman dead to rights, none of the cops wanted to see the video on site. Why?
So wrong.
Because if they did, protocol states they would have had to arrest that white lady, and their mission was to make sure that they didn't arrest that white lady. So you saw how they talked to the black lady while they knew they were being filmed, exactly the same way that Derek Chauvin looked right into that camera while he was killing your brother.
I mean, this just goes to prove the code of blue silence or whatever it is, the blue wall, the code of silence that the cops have with each other. Like, if they knew that her mother was a lieutenant or whatever, and they didn't care. They didn't care.
Yeah. Shout out to Applejack. He got $100K from GameStop. You know the GameStop situation? Hey, you gotta hit me up, big bro. We gotta talk. I gotta figure out how to do that shit next time. Much love to the homie. Yeah, guys. Gift said it perfectly. You could be a black president and get treated like shit by police. Correct. Now look. Yeah, I know Kai. Now, guys, Kai is in one of those amazing Scandinavian countries. So Kai is like, man, why record it and all that stuff,
Right.
man?
It just looks like it made the situation worse.
It's just like to embarrass her. Like, he doesn't understand. And the other thing about Kai, I mean, he's a personal friend of mine outside of the channel, is he's such a good person.
Right.
He's almost childlike in how good he. I mean that as a compliment. Because Jesus said you have to be like a child. Like, he's almost childlike in his goodness. So he you know. But now he understands the situation that we're in. Okay. This right here, let me just say the last thing. And, you know, every black family, especially if you're a boy, we've had this conversation about Emmett Till. So Emmett Till was a young black boy, about 15 years old. He was at a convenience store. He whistled at a white woman or made some sexually suggestive comment to a white woman. And she did the white woman in distress thing. And then the beautiful people in the area, you know, assaulted this kid, dragged him whole 9 yards. His face was unrecognizable. And his mother forced them to do an open casket so that people could see what these people did to Emmett Till. Now, it doesn't matter. They still got off. What was that James Lindsay said, that America's never been built on racism and we've had some struggles? That's what he said, James Lindsay. Okay. But notice here, woman linked to 1955 Emmett Till murder tells historians her claims were false. Now, should brother have been killed for whistling at a white woman? Of course not. I think it's disrespectful to do that to women, and you shouldn't do that, and I teach my sons to be respectful. But you don't get the death penalty for whistling at white women. But in spite of that, he didn't even do it.
You know what's so frustrating, too, about the situation is the absolute hypocrisy of the way that women have been treated in this country, objectified, and everything that's happened. Who are these white men to come in there and say, oh, well, this let's say the boy whistled at her. He whistled at her, and then they react like that, like they actually have a problem with objectification. No, you didn't have you didn't have a problem with objectification. You had a problem with him being a black person, and that's why they beat him so you could not even recognize his face.
Correct.
Like, there was obvious hate in that situation.
Correct.
Wow.
And then
it turns out not even to be true.
He didn't even whistle at her.
How old was he?
14 years younger than Dorian. R.I.P. to the homie. All right, so SLV is asking the only real pertinent question here. And SLV is, this guy's sharp as a tack, whoever he is. What can be done to solve these issues that are crushing us? And then he talks about police reform, right? Shaming racists, engaging in these kinds of convos. No, yeah. Well, and that's why we sign off always saying we are the media, because somebody else said, "Man, what would have happened if we didn't have camera phones?" And then he goes, "It makes me think about all the things that were happening to people before camera phones. That's very scary." Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. Now look, I don't agree with LeBron James, okay? I don't walk outside afraid of police. I don't get scared of police when I drive by them. I mean, honestly, I'm not gonna tell you. I can't speak. I'm not gonna say that. But this is a black man who's not afraid of any police. Police are afraid of me, though.
It's true. I'm actually the one that gets a little nervous.
They're afraid of me, and they should be. But so how do we solve it? There's a couple things, right? One is we need to talk about these situations. You know, you're going to get weird comments or it's uncomfortable or whatever, but we've got to keep talking about these situations. That's number one. That's a simple thing that we can do, whether it's a Facebook post, Twitter post, whatever. The only thing I would say is if you're going to share a video or something, make sure you have the full context before you share it.
Because if you get one little piece of information wrong, they're going to throw out the whole story. Correct. Because people do not want to admit or acknowledge that white privilege is an actual thing or that people are actually being handled this way by the cops. So they're looking for anything they can. That's why if something happens, they say, "Oh, well, we need to wait for the facts to come out." Like if something happens where it's a white person that does something to a black person, they say, "Well, we got to wait for the facts to come out. Let's hear what the reports say." But if it's a black person that does something, it's just any tidbit of information that comes to them, they're like, "Well, that's what happened. He was this, he was that."
Yeah, so make sure you have the full context of the video. And the next thing that we need to do is, you know, what we're doing here, we're in the middle of striking down qualified immunity where we are. Going after qualified immunity, police unions, and duty to act and duty to report. And the, what do you call it, the cans, right? Like I forgot, I think it was Seattle, where if there's a questionable issue and you didn't have your cam on, they're automatically going to say that you're guilty.
Yeah.
So there's police reform that can happen, but quite frankly, the only hope, honestly, on a human level that black people have for this is progressives.
Yeah. Just to pause here, qualified immunity is so if any other job that you have, if you do something wrong when you're doing your job, you have some sort of malpractice when you're doing your job, you can get sued by the person that you harm with your malpractice. So it's, you know, doctors, everybody has this. Well, cops are in this funny little situation where if they violate your rights, you cannot sue them personally. You personally cannot sue them personally. Like some lawsuit can kind of like come toward the, you know, toward the station, blah, 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 all of that. But you personally cannot sue that cop personally, which obviously creates a whole host of issues because they're able to violate your rights and there's nothing that can be done about it. So that obviously needs to go.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very important. And there are, shout out to Steve, there are, I like the name too, Breedlove. There's some co-belligerency that you can get with guys like Justin Amash, who's a libertarian, Republican, whatever. He's pro ending qualified immunity. Qualified immunity is a very easy constitutional argument to make.
Absolutely.
Clarence Thomas is against it. Sotomayor is against it. So I mean,
Ben and Jerry.
Ben and Jerry. Yeah, we were in a hearing with Ben and Jerry. With Ben from Ben and Jerry. No bullshit. Like the dude is like, he's all about it.
I can enjoy my ice cream and support the movement.
Yeah, we had a lawyer from the ACLU there. I mean, we're going after it hardcore. So, you can do it too. And if you want, link up with me and I'll show you how to draft one of those bills. Because we're literally in the middle of draft. I'm like on the committee drafting the second bill because the first one failed. I told the group.
You're on the committee?
Yeah, I'll tell you later.
Oh.
I told the group that I'm leading. I said this one's going to get shot down. I told everybody, it was the first thing I said. This one's going to get shot down. However,